Hello all, I'm Dr. Gayathri, an educational therapist. I'm the founder of Flourishing Kids and I work with kids having learning difficulties. Today we are going to see about active learning. Yes, we are going to discuss about active learning. Learning is not a passive process, it's an active process. And once the student is completely engaged into the material, what they are learning, and they are using active strategies to understand what it is, then the kid is much more focused into the class or much more focused into the textbook. This is called active learning. Now let's see, if you're a parent or a teacher, what can be done so that the student is completely engaged with the material and the kid is actively listening also and learning also. So the first point here is, whenever after the textbook is read or the lecture is over, the student has to restate what they have learned in the class or what they have learned in the textbook in another form. Yes, they have to restate it in another form. It could be either a verbal form where the student actually restates in own words. They can use their own words and restate what they have learned. Or they could also do a semantic map where they just write out the points and they explain what they understood from the class. So this is the main point where they state the information in another form. Next one, encourage students to understand the patterns, to know there are some patterns. For an example, if the kid is doing word problems in maths, they are doing selling price, cost price. So once the child understands that the questions are in the same pattern, okay, this is the first question and the second question is also in the same form. So they understand and see the patterns, what is happening. Okay, so I am able to understand the patterns. That would be very easy for them to solve the maths problems rather than seeing it as separate questions or separate problems. So you can use this for any other subjects also where they understand the patterns. Next one, it is connecting to the information what the child already knows. For an example, if the child is learning photosynthesis, almost young kids, everyone know that plants require sunlight. That's why we are growing out them in balconies or outside. Then they know we have to water the plants. So they already know about sunlight. They already know about water. Now you can teach them, apart from sunlight and water, they also require air. So you could emphasize the concept of air. We are already using the stored information, what they understood, and we are linking the new information for them. That becomes easy for the kids to understand, and we are also actively engaging them with the material also. Then teach children to ask self-questions. How is this context related to the context which I read already? Suppose they are reading about leaders and they are discussing about leaders of India and they are seeing some other world leaders. Okay, this is the same one. They have to ask self-questions. How is this related or why is this the same? They're asking questions so that they retain it for a longer period of time. Next, at the end of the session, at the end of the lecture or at the end of the lesson, if they have completed reading their textbook, at that time, ask the child to summarize it, what they have learned. They can paraphrase it and ask them to use their own words rather than seeing the textbook again. They have to use their own words and ask them to find out what is the key idea. What is the author wanted us to know about? What is the key idea? What are the main features which they have explained in the session? So that's how the child engages with the material a lot, and this makes them to retain for a longer period of time. If the child simply sees the book for 20 minutes or something, we don't know how much they have actually learned from that material. But once these kind of active learning strategies enter inside, then we understand the child would be able to remember much more effectively, and this would be remembered for a longer period of time also. Do try this out with your students. Thank you.